Here.
No, don't. Blues for all. I don't know. Is it gonna, must be gonna rain or something.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to WellSprings. My name is Julie. My pronouns are she and her. And we're going to start today off with some singing. So please, whether you're at home watching on live stream or here in Bell Hall, rise, whether in body or in spirit, and sing along if you know this one.
Hail all the lonely nights, hail all the tears you've cried, hail all that you've survived. Hail all the honesty, hail all that sets you free, hail all that you believe. When darkness comes, that's your chance to shine. When ripples roll, you rise. When darkness comes, shine all your light, so I can get my strength from you tonight. Hail every ounce of pain, hail every ounce of faith, hail every inch of grace, hail every ounce of cheer, hail every truth we hear, hail all that we hold dear. When darkness comes, that's your chance to shine. When ripples roll, you rise. When darkness comes, shine all your light, so I can get my strength from you tonight. Hail all the honesty, hail all that sets you free. When darkness comes, that's your chance to shine. When ripples roll, you rise. When darkness comes, shine all your light, so I can get my strength from you tonight. When darkness comes, that's your chance to shine. When ripples roll, you rise. When darkness comes, shine all your light, so I can get my strength from you. I can get my strength from you. I can get my strength from you tonight.
Please take a seat. I'm going to slow it down for our next one.
I think we have a little bit of a mix-up.
According to the slides, we're doing One of Us. We rehearsed it in the wrong order, folks. Will you forgive us?
You pranking me?
I'll own that. I very definitively said number 2 is nothing more. All on me. When ripples roll, we rise. That's
What had a name? What would it be, and would you call it to his face? If you were faced him with all his glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home.
God had a face, what would it look like, and would you want to see? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven and in Jesus and the saints and all the prophets. Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home. Just trying to make his way home. Back up to heaven all alone. Nobody calling on the phone. Except for the Pope maybe in Rome. Yeah, yeah, God is great. Yeah, yeah, God is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home. Just trying to make his way home. Like a holy rolling stone. Back up to heaven all alone. Just trying to make his way home. Please rise, whether in body or in spirit, for our third song this morning. And for those of you who've been here a while, you know it. And those who are new,
We did
we
the
had this one
song
right.
our very first year at WellSprings. The other person who was here our very first year at WellSprings is Harry, our keyboardist. He's back. Who has is filling in for us during filling in for Rod while some people take some vacation. So he emerged from retirement to rejoin this super group.
It is a super group.
It is, yeah. Ready? I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready when joy comes back to me. I've been downhearted. I've been downhearted. I've been downhearted, but I won't be down for long, 'cause I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready. Joy comes back to me. I've been too long crying. I've been too long crying. Too long crying. But I ain't gonna cry no more, 'cause I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready.
Gonna be ready.
Wanna be ready. When joy comes back to me. I've been tied to the ground, Lord. I've been tied to the ground. I've been tied to the ground, Lord. I'm getting lighter every day.
Surrounded by midnight.
Surrounded by midnight.
Been surrounded by midnight.
Surrounded by midnight.
Surrounded by midnight. I ain't gonna shine again.
'Cause I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
When joy comes back to me.
All right, now. This comes the part where you guys shout out back at us, all right? I'm gonna sing along, you guys gonna shout it back. Said I wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready.
Yes, I wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready.
Yes, I wanna be ready.
Yeah. I wanna be ready.
I wanna be ready. Wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Joy comes back to me.
I wanna be
I
ready.
said I wanna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Gonna be ready.
Wanna be ready.
Joy comes back to me. Joy comes back to me.
Joy comes back to me. All right.
Welcome to WellSprings. I'm ready. I'm joyful that the Phillies are back, and I just can you stand up and show the crowd like I'm joyful at my friend the Philly fanatic here. Joy comes back. Welcome to WellSprings. My name is Kathy Burkhow. My pronouns are she and her, and it's my pleasure to be serving as your worship leader this morning. Each week when we gather, we light a chalice. Oh, I didn't pick somebody to light the chalice. Oh my goodness gracious. Would you like to light the chalice, Philly fanatic? All right. What's your name?
Phil.
Phil. And this morning I've asked Phil to light our chalice. Phil, the Philly fanatic. It's a symbol not only of our spiritual heritage as Unitarian Universalists, but also of our shared spark, our commitment to sharing that light within each of us. And so Phil's going to light our chalice, and once he's done so, we will share together the words on the screen. Thank you, Phil. Oops. And together we say, we light this chalice to celebrate the path lit before us, the warmth of kindness that shines from within us, and the radiance of wisdom that is shared between us and never goes out. Thank you, Phil. I'm a little off my game today because I had a printer malfunction this morning, so I'm doing a combination of from memory and peeking at my phone for my notes. So, good morning. Our mission here at WellSprings Congregation is to be a community chargeful with the charge of the soul. And I am charged today about being proud of my youngest offspring, Jaden, who many of you know. Can we get the first slide? There they are. Aren't they cute? Weren't they a cute little kid? Jaden left last Sunday to fly back to Chicago for their sophomore year at DePaul University. They had to go back early because they have 2 weeks of training as a resident assistant in the dorm. And so I want to show you, yeah, there you go. There's their bulletin board. Now, I don't know, do you think that today's 18-year-olds are actually going to get the early 1980s Space Invaders theme of this bulletin board? Okay. I think they probably will because Jaden is going to be the RA for what's called the esports living learning community. So a living learning community in colleges these days, they often have opportunities for you to choose to live amongst other people who share something, some common interest with you. And so it might be about your major, it might be about your religious alignment, it might be about sports or a hobby. And this is the first year that DePaul has offered an LLC for esports, which is, if you're not familiar, competitive team video gaming. This is an NCAA Division I sport, y'all. I'm serious. Big East. DePaul's in the Big East. So you've got a new sport to follow. But anyway, so Jaden is there for 2 weeks and has been reporting back every day about the things they've been getting trained on. And they sent us a couple days ago pictures of the bulletin boards that they made for their wing of the dorm that they're responsible for. And they were so excited. They've got 36 residents who signed up for the Esports LLC, which means 36 people, this first year of the LLC, 36 people said, I want to live among the other gamers and do things together. And so Jaden's really excited about this and also, has never been an RA and is only a sophomore himself. And I just feel really good for those 36 gamers who signed up for their freshman year of college to be in Jaden's LLC. Because if you know Jaden, you know that they look at they go into the unknown, sometimes with trepidation. They're an introvert, they're not always thrilled about doing things that they're unfamiliar with. But as soon as they figure it out, they jump right to walking alongside other people, helping them, encouraging them, showing them how to approach the unknown with confidence and curiosity. And many of the students at DePaul, by DePaul's mission, are first-time college students, like first generation in their family to attend college. And so it's very likely that some of those 36 students have never been away from home, have no one in their family who's ever been to college, and they are going to be facing the unknown at every level of the game that they're playing, okay? And I'm so proud of Jaden, that Jaden is there to walk alongside them. And it charges me full because I've seen the ways that they've done that here at WellSprings in Youth Spirit, in our whole lives, as a speaker about transgender and non-binary things, and as a camp counselor at Murray Grove. And I'm just so proud. I'm allowed to be proud. I'm a mom. And I hope that you find things in your life to feel proud of and to share with people around you who accompany you on your game of life. Pardon me, sorry. So that was all completely from memory. Okay, now I'm back to what I actually have notes for. This morning, I would like to specially welcome any newcomers. If this is your first or second time with us, we're so happy you're here. We would love if you would fill out a connection card so we can keep in touch and keep you up to date. You can get a link to the connection card from the QR code that'll be up on screen shortly, or it's available on the welcome table right outside of Bell Hall. Or any of our greeters, Carol and Ron, can hook you up. If you're joining us online, we're so glad you're here, and there is a link to the connection card in the description below the video, and I think it'll probably also be in the meeting chat. If you would like to interact with folks who are joining online, we do encourage that. This is not a you got to put your phones away place. You can connect to the live chat on YouTube during our live stream. Just make sure to turn off your sound if you're here in the room. And then you can chat with people who are here online. And if you want more information about today's service or what's coming up, you can always get to it through that QR code. We do have some news we want to highlight this weekend. And so for that, I'm going to turn it over to our Membership and Communications Coordinator, Beth Trandall.
Good morning, WellSprings. My name is Beth Trandall, and I'm here with your announcements for today. Over here, you'll find a QR code that you can scan at any point for more information. Heartworks is looking for volunteers to help them with our community garden. This year, our garden is located at the Fraser Mennonite Church in Fraser. We are looking for volunteers to help water, weed, pick vegetables, and deliver those to local community food banks. We appreciate any help you can give. You can scan the QR code for the sign-up. We're looking for some individuals to become certified to become Our Whole Lives, or OWL, facilitators. This is a program for teens in our community that we offer every 2 years. If you'd like more information, you can scan the QR code or email Carol Breslin. Next Sunday, August 25th, will be our next You the Vote letter writing campaign. We will also have an activity for teens and youth to have them be involved as well. Of course, there will be pizza provided. We hope you can join us. That's all for today. Have a great day, everyone.
At WellSprings, the foundation of all that we do is rooted in the power of connection, of making space in our hearts and in our lives for one another. And this is the part of our service where we honor that connection by greeting one another. Now, we recognize that our community is well beyond these walls, so feel free also to take a moment and drop a comment in the YouTube live chat, or maybe post something in the WellSprings Oasis Facebook group. And for those of you here in Bell Hall, just remember, please ask before hugging or approaching closely. And if you would rather, for any reason, not be touched or approached and want to keep your distance, just stay seated and we'll give you a wave from afar. With gratitude for all of the ways that we might connect, please greet one another now. Great. Thank you for those warm greetings. Those of you here in Bell Hall are invited to continue those conversations later after the service at coffee hour, which will take place right in this room and out in the patio area right after the service. Thanks for your warm greetings. I invite you now into our time of generosity, an opportunity to express our gratitude for. I invite you now into our time of generosity, an opportunity to express our gratitude for and commitment to all the ways this spiritual community has an impact on us and all of our lives. We sustain WellSprings now and into the future through our contributions. If you'd like, you can use your phone to give from anywhere. Just text WSprings to 73256. It's also easy and convenient to automate your giving on Realm. Our greeters will be bringing around hats for those who want to donate by hand. And you can also drop a check or a cash donation in the box on the welcome table right outside the front door. Thank you for all the ways. Do we have hats? All right, nice. There they are. Thank you for all the ways your gifts support WellSprings, and our offering will now be gratefully received by the hat ladies. Having shared energy between us and giving beyond us, let's take some time now to reground into that deep and soulful energy that is within each of us. We do this by doing what's most simple and elemental. We take a breath. Inhaling and exhaling without rush or hurry. Breathing in and breathing out. There's nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be, and nothing else to be doing. Let us cultivate peace and experience presence together. As we prepare for our time of mindful silence, we follow these words from Thich Nhat Hanh. If we want to enter heaven on earth, we need only one conscious step and one conscious breath. wherever it is that we are, whatever it is that we're doing, however it is that we're feeling, let's remember that peace and presence are always as close to us as is our own next breath. May this be so for us this moment. May it be so for us this day. And may it be so for all of us in the days to come. Now I'd like to invite all the congregation's children to join our staff and volunteers. Look for Nick, he's waving in the corner, in Youth Spirit. Where will you be, Nick? Over in the Gresh Center across the lawn. And grown-ups who came with these children, please be sure to pick them up after the service is over. And now let's welcome back the band for our next song.
Please rise. And now the song you got a little bit of a sneak peek at earlier. To be humble, to be kind, it is the giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that our hearts can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The dangers in the anger and the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. Tell me what it is that you see. A world that's filled with endless possibilities. Heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Thank you, stage crew. Thanks, Harry. Harry, I think something's buzzing up here. Is there something we can turn off? All right. I knew Harry could fix it. There's buzz. Good morning, everybody. Oh, perfect. Silence. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So we are right in the middle of our August tradition here at WellSprings. Literally right in the middle. There's 2 more weeks of August. I know, I'm not thrilled about that, but here we are in our August tradition, our Neighbors and Helpers message series, where we welcome a guest to join us every single Sunday through Labor Day, and together we share all different kinds of stories. We hear about all different kinds of experiences of life here in our neighborhood, here in Chester County, experiences of life of the community beyond our doors. And I think that's helpful. It has felt helpful to me this month to hear these stories, because every now and then we do get stuck in our own stuff, right? Every now and then we get stuck in a particular mood or a rut of thinking, a way of thinking, a story we tell ourselves about the way things are and are going to be forever. And when we get stuck like that, I have found that it is helpful to just connect with another person. Right, just to hear another person's story, another person's perspective. I was talking to a friend recently about the shift that has happened just in the last month in our national politics, right? Regardless of who you're voting for, or even regardless of how closely you're following this election, you probably heard that there was a change in presidential candidates, a pretty major change. And my friend was saying that there's just kind of a freshness in the air since then. That they were amazed at how viscerally they felt that change. Like there was just some space that opened up only because the fight that we all thought we were going to be locked into this year, it just shifted, just a little bit. And my friend said, until that happened, they said, I hadn't realized how sad I'd been. They didn't even notice the heaviness until there was that space and that shift. When we connect with each other, when we hear what is on someone else's heart, what is on someone else's mind, that can also help each of us shift. It's a great practice for these times that we're in, or for any time, really. So I'm glad that we have another story to hear today. And our guest with us this week, her name is Lilia Weber, and she is a board member for a local organization that I learned about maybe only about a year or 2 ago. I learned about this organization, and then I saw them again, and it reminded me this past June, just a couple months ago, when WellSprings was at Chester County Pride Fest in Phoenixville. It turns out their organization's booth was directly across from the WellSprings booth, and so I made a note to reach out to them for this series. And lo and behold, I discover that they have a connection not only from our location at Pride, but also that Lilia, who's joining us today, is also a Unitarian Universalist, it turns out, and a member of our neighboring congregation at Mainline Unitarian Church. So let's welcome Lilia to the stage. Thanks. Thanks for being here, Lilia. Want me to do it?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. There you go. That should work. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah.
We can hear you?
And thank you.
You're so
I was
welcome.
trying to say it. Thank you. And yeah. So it's really, I'm excited to be here, and I got the brief from Andrew. Keep it the same. I'm excited to be here and share some talk about blend of my story as well as Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project, and I can thread it with a little bit of UU path, and yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start with, I mentioned to you that for every guest that we have in this series, I'm always asking a little bit about how you came to be one of our neighbors. So are you originally from Chester County? If not, how did you come to find this place that you call home now?
Yeah, wow, that's, we've got time. So I was born in New York City, grew up in the New York City metropolitan area, went to college in far north New York State. I call it the frozen tundra of New York. It's really the St. Lawrence Seaway area. And then lived in Rochester, New York for a couple years. And then my then partner got a job in southeast Pennsylvania area, and I followed. That was 40 years ago. And so 39 years ago, actually. And so I settled in Montgomery County, actually, but and I've lived in a couple places in Montgomery County, but right near the border of Chester County, and my workplaces have been in Chester County. I worked for Unisys Corporation in Great Valley for decades, and now I work for a consulting company who's also based in Wayne. So I'm connected to Chester County that way, in terms of work and also place of worship now. So that's how I got here, and raised a family, 2 daughters from a first marriage and 2 stepsons from a second. So they're all kind of spread out now, but I'm still here.
Do you think you'll go back to New York, or do you think you're going to be here for a while?
I'm here for now.
Yeah.
I'm in that stage now in life. I've got 1 grandchild, so that's like a pull in one direction.
Congratulations.
And where my other daughter and son-in-law decide to go, that may pull me in a different direction. So, yeah.
Good. So you're also a neighbor, as I mentioned, in terms of your faith tradition. You're a Unitarian Universalist. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you to Unitarian Universalism?
Yeah. So this is how I can weave I'm Lilia Weber. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm transgender. So let's just put that down. And I'm a late bloomer, is what I would call it. So that was me peeling the onion of who I was. Took me a while. I had absorbed cultural impressions, and I had to peel that away from myself before I could be true to myself. So my first marriage, as I was in my 40s, and this pull of this isn't right. I need to investigate who I am better, and I can't push it down anymore, and swallow that expression of myself. That came to a head. Separated, moved into an apartment. I was like, found a great therapist, and I was like, I need some community. I was separated from my family at this point, and I was like, oh, what can I, and I had raised Catholic, separated that from college. It didn't work for me, and for those 20 years, it was nature and environment concerns, and that was my religion, so to speak. So I was like, I need some community, and this Unitarian Universalism looks interesting. So I looked up where the closest congregations were, and the closest congregation was less than a mile from my apartment. I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing.
You could walk there.
So, yeah. Walked in the next Sunday and been a UU ever since. And then I found out there were a lot of people I knew that I really attached to that were Unitarian Universalists, and they never told me about this thing. So I was one of those, oh, you've been a UU your whole life and didn't know it. So that's my own little UU miracle, so to speak, that I was so close and discovered it when I needed it. And yeah, there's been lots of discovery in that process. I don't know if this is a good time to talk about it. So that first congregation was not a welcoming congregation when I walked in, and I was like, I talked to the minister, is there a place for me here? Because this is where I am, and I'm figuring myself out. And they were like, yeah. I mean, the minister, she was lesbian, but it was a small congregation, Thomas Paine. People know that one. And Thomas Paine, UU Fellowship. And they were not a welcoming congregation. After myself being there the first year, I was like, hey, can we work on this? So myself and 2 other people became the leaders of the Welcoming Congregation task force. And just short of 2 years, we had worked through the whole Welcoming Congregation process and became a welcoming congregation. And in that process myself, I was becoming more comfortable being out in that community. So it was great for me personally. I didn't know that's what was going to happen, but it was blossoming for me.
Yeah. I mentioned to Lilia as she came in this morning that we are also right in the middle of our welcoming congregation team process. In fact, I know a bunch of you are here today. Would you mind raising your hands if you're on that team? So I think about 5 people here today, and you're going to be hearing more from them in September as they start the public phase of kind of that process of voting on becoming a welcoming congregation officially. It's a designation that our denomination gives to congregations that are welcoming to LGBTQ plus folks.
Yeah, and it's such a wonderful educational process where people have to have the uncomfortable conversations to really, peel the onion, so to speak, and really understand any biases they may have learned earlier in their life and pull it apart. And then it's like, oh, okay. Now there isn't, I'm not awkward about calling someone they. I'm not, that kind of thing. Because it's okay. Yeah.
So Lilia, you serve on the board of the Eastern PA Trans Equity Project, which is is it a pretty new organization?
Less than 10 years.
Okay,
I mean,
not that
it's been in existence, I think, 6 years at this point.
Okay. How did you first encounter the organization, and then what made you want to volunteer your time with them as a board member?
Yeah, so as I shared, I stepped into the UU faith, and then I was like, all right, let's do this. As I transitioned publicly, I was a very slow path transitioner. I lived in a androgynous world, a dual gender world for a while, for years, because I did what was just enough to quiet my gender dysphoria. And I'll get to your question.
That's okay.
But eventually, that wasn't enough, and I needed to fully transition. And for me, that's everyone's idea of what that means is a personal thing. But for me, it also meant legal name change, coming out at work, and I was already a professional. I'm a software engineer and a manager, and so that was big to transition in work, and I didn't know how that was going to all go, and it went great, but for me. But going to get back to your question. So I transitioned, and I wanted to give back, pay it forward, and that was part of my way. There are a number of support groups and stuff in the area, and I tapped into those as I was discovering myself. And this organization, Corinne Goodwin's the executive director, and I knew Corinne before either of us transitioned, through community groups and conferences, and said, and at that point, we've grown. So Eastern Pennsylvania's Trans Equity Project now covers 34 counties of Pennsylvania. So it grew out of Lehigh Valley area and Bethlehem as its core. That's where Corinne lives and a core group. But we've grown, and now we have crossed the Susquehanna and gone further. I mean, if you want to look at a map, there's brochures out on the coffee table. You'll see one of our maps, and we're looking at adding even 6 more counties, which would include parts of like where State College is and such. So we have a bigger goal. We can drop the eastern part, but we were trying to serve as many people in the state as possible, and what we can sustain. So so it's grown. And when I spoke with Corinne, I said, yeah, I'd like to join. I'm down in Montgomery County and Chester County and Philadelphia, Bucks County and the surrounding suburbs. I can be on the board and talk to this area while you've got people in other spots. And that's how we've grown our board also. We've got people from, Wilkes-Barre area, down this way. We do have a number of people down in the Philadelphia surrounding areas. We don't actually cover Philadelphia itself because there's enough services there, so we don't want to compete. But Philadelphia is this big, and then there's the counties that cover the rest of the half of the state. So that's where I stepped up and said, I'd like to be on the board, and I was interviewed and all that. And I've been on the board now 3 years, two and a half. So, and it's been great because I've seen us grow as well as, we're attending like 24 Pride festivals this summer. You saw us at Phoenixville,
Yeah.
Chester County Pride. That's one, and I was there. I was right across the
street.
In the morning.
Yeah.
I was right across the street. There are a number of times this summer where we're at like 3 Pride festivals at the same time. We're spread around, but that's part of our growth,
Yeah.
and it's been wonderful to see that. Not for growth's sake, but for serving the trans community, and that's really the goal.
That's beautiful that you were motivated to give back, even as you said, with kind of your long, slow process, that once something clicked for you, you were like, I want to support other people through this too. Yeah. You talked about 30, 40 years ago, right? And in one sense, awareness and inclusion and support for trans and gender diverse folks is so much stronger than it used to be 30 or 40 years ago. But with that shift has also come backlash, incredibly harsh backlash sometimes. There are states in our country that are working to make it essentially illegal to be trans, and they're eliminating, this access to gender-affirming care. There are some places where states are trying to legally codify the idea that gender can only be assigned at birth and can't ever change from that assignment. So in this current climate, this mix of progress and backlash, what do you think are some of the most important ways that any of us can show up for and support the local trans community here?
Yeah. Everybody participates in their own way. One of the things that got me, and I was thinking about, like, where did I start speaking out? And it was at the Chester County Courthouse. In 21, there was a rally for All Kids Belong, I think was the name of it, but it was in response to HB 972, which was a House bill for trans girls can't compete in sports. Very targeted, and it was so this was a rally to garner support from the community against that and speaking towards it. And I was very intimidated because I got up there to do my speech, and I followed Brian Sims and was just before Malcolm Kenyatta. So
both
we've
state
got,
politicians,
yeah, we've
state
got
level
politicians,
government.
and I'm like, yeah, I'm just here because I'm here. And at that point, I wasn't on the board of Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project. I was involved with the LGBT Equality Alliance of Chester County, and people said, "Oh, Lilia, get her there." So that's how I got pulled into that area. So people can speak up. They don't need a degree in political science or anything. I think that the easiest thing people can do is, there's an array of things. I'm very active with my employer in a DIB, DEI space as well, and at your employment, put your pronouns in your email signature. It's subtle. You don't even have to say anything. Or put your pronouns in your Zoom thing, because that just says, hey, I recognize people have pronouns, and it's a safe space. So that's signaling to others that it's a safe space. What people can do to be active and an ally, like as I said, speaking up for others when they're not in the room, going to school board meetings. It starts really, really local. So local township meetings, school board meetings. If you live in a township that doesn't yet have a non-discrimination ordinance, which there are more and more. I mean, I kept raising my hand in my township, and now we finally got one a year and a half ago. And because hopefully eventually the equality bill in Pennsylvania will go somewhere, but until it does, we have to have this patchwork of local ordinances. And that just, protects people with housing, accommodations, and usually those are written such that it's not just LGBT, it's any discrimination, but definitely LGBT, sexual orientation and gender identity or expression are called out in it as well as racial or faith or whatever. Yeah, and we'll take donations too.
Tell us a little bit about some of the basic programs of
I forgot to say it before.
EPTEP, right? That's the acronym.
EPTEP.
TEP, yeah.
Yep. Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project, and that's why my phone's here. I'm not texting while I'm talking with you. I just wanted to say some of the specifics about what our organization does, so you kind of get an idea why we've grown and what we're serving today, because it's changing and the needs are becoming greater. This year has been like eye-opening in terms of the needs. I can share theories of what those needs are coming from, but okay. So there's like 3 areas that we work in. One is supporting people right now, what they need today. There's another that is helping, and this is trans, gender expansive folks. And then the second is helping them plan for their future, to help them get set up so that they can be self-sufficient and go on. And the third is to help change things for the better from a community point of view. So that's kind of the 3 large groupings. So within that, from the first one, we have 12 community support groups, and we've just recently merged with another groups in Lancaster County that were their organization dissolved, but the group needed some organization and help, so they're now part of us. So we've got those, and year to date, just this year alone, we've got 1,228 individuals have come to those support meetings. So that's the kind of volume of people showing up. I mean, this is kind of post-COVID and that, but that's a rise just this year of 42%. So people are a little nervous with what's going on in the world. And we've had people calling in or referencing our website for resources, and that's like 741 people, and that's up about 11%. So people are like, okay, I need more information. Then there's basic needs assistance. So that's one of our financial grant kind of things where we give out money for food, rent, or utilities, just to keep them in their home, keep them safe, and so that they can go to school and go to work and not have to worry about this month to get through this month. It's not long-term assistance, it's just to bridge some gaps if they're in a tough spot.
I imagine that's especially important for anybody who loses family support when they come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's a number. We've helped 225 people this year, and that's up 57%.
Wow.
So the needs are growing in that area. And then we also empowerment grants and scholarships. So we help with education scholarships. I think we've given out 10 this year. We're now doing a program where we're workforce mentoring, where we work with the employer as well as a cohort of people that are going to be hired by that employer, and mentor them through their first year of employment. So to keep them in the job and keep that going. So, but one big part of that area is the name change. So Pennsylvania process to get your legally name change is a little bit convoluted. And every county is a little different. And with that, we've coached and helped 289 people this year already. And that's up 30%. Again, people are potentially stepping up to get their name changed because they don't know what's going to happen after an election. I mean, I can relate because I also changed my name in an election year. And it wasn't the only factor, but it was a factor for me. And that's up 30% this year for those name changes. So, and then the last parts here where I'm talking about education programming, which is where we go to various groups to do education, and that we've worked with 1,400 people, and then we do advocacy and intervention and going to the state capitol and discussing with representatives about why bills need to change. We're working on changing the laws for the name change process to make it easier so that it's a clerk process instead of a court hearing, and reduce the costs involved. I mean, the standard costs to get your name changed in Pennsylvania can run up to $1,000. And because you have to publish your name in 2 different journals, that's the standard thing, and court costs and fingerprinting and background search and all this stuff. It's all written. The Pennsylvania name change laws are written against to prevent fraud, but it really doesn't apply to someone who just wants to change their name to represent who they are.
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to ease. So we're helping a lot of people, and the need is there. And the counties that are like where we keep saying we'll try to get to that county and support it, they're actually contacting us. It's like, can you help me get my name changed? And we're like, well, we're stretched thin with our financial resources as well as our people resources, and you know, we can point you in the right direction, but we can't actually coach you for that. But we're covering those 34 counties that we are covering, and that's where we are. So, and it's super heartwarming to get feedback from a trans client or a parent, because we do work with parents that have youth as well, and they're like, you know, we came to you, we were so confused, and you just helped us understand the process, and so that's the reward.
I imagine having a guide like that is so helpful just for the facts of it, right, for the complicated legalese and all the paperwork, but also depending on, if you imagine, right, you have to go to a court, you have to talk to a bunch of bureaucrats. You have no idea how those people feel about the trans community. You have no idea what you're walking into when you go into that space. So just the stress of that. Also, I imagine having a supportive guide, not only for the logistics, but just emotionally probably is so valuable to so many folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely. And I mean, when I changed my name, I used a lawyer because I didn't have the checklist and the help. So that's also my kind of pay it forward kind of thing. I was like, okay, this can be done without a lawyer.
Yeah.
And you just need someone who has some experience. And then we try to have someone be there in the court with the person too, just to be like, it's gonna be fine. You got everything. And usually, yeah, some counties are harder than others. And some judges specifically in counties are harder than others. I mean, Corinne also has worked with counties to actually have a education session with the judges. And so again, that's the part of trying to change it from within.
While also providing that direct service. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is such a valuable conversation. I know we're running a little bit long, but I want to make sure that if we have, it's all right, this always happens. If we have any questions from the congregation, I want to give space for at least one or two of those before we invite the band back up on stage. And there may be questions coming from folks online in our chat, so Beth will read those out if there are any. Does anybody have a question that they want to share with Lilia? I know I didn't give you a warning to think about it this time.
And I'll hang out at coffee hour too, so
That's
I'm
perfect.
happy to have conversations there too.
Yeah. Kathy has one. Go ahead, Kathy. I'll just repeat the question so the folks online can hear it. Basically, Kathy's asking, is there a network of other organizations like yours in other states?
We think we're one of the only, no. There are other organizations, but they tend to be slightly different focused. We are not a medical provider. And if people, we can give resources and say, here are your medical connections, but we don't have any social workers, so we can't give that kind of help, and we are not mental health professionals, so we're very niched. Some organizations, like you're saying, like if you were to go into, like in the Philadelphia area, the Mazzoni Center, you've probably heard that name. They're a health provider, they have mental health, they also have some legal help. So they've kind of come at it from the health side and overlapped with other services. And other areas kind of have other similar kind of approaches. So for us, the fact that we're grassroots and we're just a 501c and that's all our focus is, I think it's a little bit of a niche, but we do have some connections. And there are other LGBT organizations nationally that I know that we've connected with through our executive director. I don't know them all, I'm sorry, but yeah.
All right, Ron. Oh, so I think Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking in terms of kind of community acceptance of the trans community, does Lilia notice a difference between whether men or women are more accepting? Yeah.
I can only answer this from my own personal experience. And so my personal experience biased because I present as a female. And so I think I connect a little more with females. I think if you were to ask a trans man, they may feel the opposite. So and and trans man, I meant a transgender male who's transitioned to male. They may feel the opposite. So I think it's very personal. It's very personal experience, and I wouldn't want to make a generalization across cultures and societies. That'd be unfair.
Yeah.
It'd actually be unfair to the groups.
Mm-hmm. And of course, anybody can be an ally, right? No matter their gender. Yeah.
And allies surprise you sometimes, where you didn't realize they were going to be such a strong ally. So it's be open to that.
All right. All right. No other questions? Nobody online, Beth? All right. Then thank you so much, Lilia, for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here. I can take that. And I'm going to invite our band back up on stage for our last song. And while they're making their way up here, oh, thank you, Phil. Phil wins MVP of this service. Just a brief moment, I'll invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. God, who knows us, giver of our life, who created all that we are, may we remember that no matter what path we take, we are still the receivers of this great gift. We are still the recipients of a love that is more powerful than anything else in the universe. And that no matter how we grow or change or what we learn or have to unlearn, that we can stay connected to that source of belovedness that is always at the center of our lives and of everyone else's. For these prayers that I've spoken out loud and for the prayers that we are all carrying silently on our hearts today, we say amen.
Please rise for our final song this morning.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes it feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
This light may go out, but the source that is inside us is always with us. And together we say, as we release this flame from its faithful service today, we allow that spark in each of us to burn on, to warm our compassion, to fire our delight, and to light our paths today, tomorrow, and always. Friends, no matter what the story is, I hope that you leave here today remembering that everyone carries a great story inside of them, one that you may not be able to see from the outside, one that may shape so much of who they are showing up as in that moment with you. So may we see each other's light as much as we can. Let's put our hands together one more time. Guys, take us out.